everybody, John here, and today into the garage we're doing a little secrets of the XK8 on how do you get a dead seat out of an XK8 XKR. So it's a perennial issue that the seats are electric, and in order to remove the seats you have to move them on their runners in order to get out all 4 bolts. If the seat is dead, then you can't remove it because you can't get it all 4 bolts. And why would you want to remove it? Because the seat is dead. And round we go. So the XK8 does hold a couple of little secrets in that regard. And I thought I'd share them with you in a really quick video. And I'll back it up with a demonstration of removing a dead seat simulated. But here's the underside of the seat. And the first thing to share with you is, if it's possible to still get at this connector. So that's at the front edge, and in my UK driver's seat it's the side that is closer to the handbrake, or the outside if you like. This white connector, which has, I'm going to call it pink and orange and pink and grey going to it, if you disconnect it, there's a little lever underneath it, you squeeze. There we go. If you can remove that, and there are only 2 wires going to it, and it's the furthest away from you, if you can probe those, then you can supply 12 volts and, assuming the motor still works, move the seat forward. However, if that doesn't do the job, or the seat is in the wrong position and you can't get to that, what do you do? Well, the mechanism itself, there's a motor underneath here which drives via a nice little series of rods, these screws. What that means is it's effortless in terms of how it moves the seat backwards and forwards. The seat can't force its way back and defeat the mechanism, but it also means we can't defeat it by turning these shafts, because there's a worm drive involved, and that means you just can't defeat it. So the only way of getting access to do further steps to remove your seat is using the screws which I've highlighted in pink. So those screws are literally just below the squab of the seat, and they are the contact point between the seat and the rest of the mechanism. And you should be able to get access to them no matter where the mechanism is, forwards, backwards, up and down. But to do it you will need a very particular tool. This is a tool I've shown on my channel before, very useful on the odd occasion, but without it, this job, I don't see how it can be done. So what we've got is a little bit driving ratchet. Mine's a Wera Zyklop, and this kit is the BC10 Zyklop Mini 1. This isn't sponsored in any way, this is just what I use. And it's a tiny little ratchet with a through 1/4 inch drive, 1/4 inch hex. And this set, I need a Torx 40, TX40. And if I put the bit in here, what looks like a through drive, you then realise is actually, it's blind. There's a very tiny detent ring, allowing you to put your thumb on there, giving you a very short T40 drive. And you can work the wheel by hand, which is nifty. So enough about the tool. What do you do? This is going to look very easy because I've got the seat upside down, but it's much better to explain. So you're just going to reach under the front of your seat and find the bracket. Once you've found the bracket, put your T40 bit in the hole and make sure it's seated nicely. And so you just got to repeat that in 4 locations. And then you will be able to lift the seat base off of the sledge or mechanism. Now you've got some wire which will enable you to lift the seat mechanism, lift the seat off the mechanism by about 100 mil, 6 inches or so, and then you obviously got to disconnect some connectors before you can actually free it off. But that is step 1 in removing a dead seat. Get the seat off the frame. There are connectors that enable you to disconnect everything. The little odd man out is the seatbelt buckle, which has a wire which is cable tied to the seat and then cable tied to the motor. So you might have to snip those connections to lift it off. But again, once you've cracked the Torx bolts, you can already begin to see a little bit of success. Here on the front underside of the seat, on the front edge of the seat, we've also got the seat control module. And on mine, I'm always interested in handwritten stuff, 646, potentially the 646th seat made, would sort of line up with the age of the car. A lot of gaffer tape used in holding wires and bits and pieces in place. The module itself is quite flimsy in terms of the lid, and if you peel back this gaffer tape, trying not to damage as best as I can my labels, taking a barcode with it. Then what interests me is it says seat module, this part is programmable. Makes you think, ooh, what can you do to it? Well, how can it be programmed? Seat module is another thing that could fail on your car. So for anybody who's interested, there's a part number. And just peeping out there, hopefully you can see a little Ford logo, which means this is also used on some Ford products, which is a good thing. High volumes of Ford cars produced relative to Jaguars mean that these things get developed, and it's probably more reliable for that, so I'm not going to judge. But more interestingly, there'll be an equivalent car. It may be a Scorpio, something like that. There'll be a Ford vehicle that uses this seat module. Be interesting to find out what that is. If anybody knows, let us all know. The drive motor, forward and backward, is that one in the middle of the picture. And you can see it's got drive shafts going out in both directions. They're hollow with a shaft going down the centre. And what appears to be a worm drive system working the screws that move backwards and forwards on both sides, synchronized with the forward backward movement of the seat. This motor, which is labelled 4-way seat motor, obviously the motor doesn't go 4 ways. This is extra if your seat goes 4 ways. Works, again, another worm drive onto this screw, working this crank, which is linked to that crank, and that will raise and lower the seat. So really elegantly done. I believe this is the same sledge or seat mechanism used in the late XJ8s. I could be wrong on that. Somebody will correct me, I'm sure. So time's against me again. I'll get back in the garage soon, hopefully, and I will show you, once you've lifted the seat clear of that mechanism or sledge, how you get the sledge off even though it's dead. Obviously there's a lot of options at that stage because you'll be able to easily access the motors to try and electrically drive them, but we're going to make the assumption that the motor is dead, which is the worst possible scenario. How would you then release it from its mountings? If you're enjoying our channel, then don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell icon so you get notifications of new videos. And please give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, and you can share the videos. And below the video is always the area where you can comment and get involved with the chat.